Hey y'all, how y'all doing? This is Lyne't here with the Lyne't Gray Show here on KUAW, Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom, Kansas City's first global community radio station. You are most likely listening to the Lyne't Gray Show here on KUAW-radio on Facebook. But we also like to welcome and thank all of our Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TuneIn, and Periscope watchers. We appreciate you all. And once again, tune in. When you're on TuneIn, you hear it, you don't see it. So don't think your TuneIn is broken if you don't see us. It's a radio thing. It's not a television thing for TuneIn. I am here today. We're gonna do our Dos Minutos with Jorge, and then we're gonna get into we're gonna do a bunch of different topics today. We're doing something that I normally don't do, which we're gonna bounce around to a bunch of different topics. We're discussing the Juneteenth holiday and what else could have been written in that ordinance to make Juneteenth a holiday. We're discussing something that it's kind of like a trigger for some people, so I'm giving you a trigger warning for those who are watching. We will be discussing women and their relationships with other women, preferably the Black women thing, the reason why many Black women have suffered and are suffering PTSD and different type of traumatic things. We are discussing that. And then lastly, we are discussing how to quickly bring up your high schoolers GPA. Your high schoolers. You want to get them started doing this specific thing. And if you go to my Lyne't Gray Show, not Lyne't Gray Show, my Lyne't C. Smith page. Y'all, the reason why my name is Lyne't C. Smith on the page was because I had changed my name to Peaceful Virtue when I was ready to beat everybody up. And I changed my name, and a Trump supporter got mad because I said that Trump supporters and Republicans are the same people. And they're the same people as the birthers, and the Republicans are the same people. And he got upset, and they are out here popping fireworks. I thought it was gunshots, y'all. I ain't even gonna. Y'all see me like, whoa, hold on. I'm so Casey. No, please stop. And so I had to change. I had to literally send in my ID to Facebook, and now they have my name locked in as that. And so I'm going to do a slow transition on taking my name off from under Smith, because a lot of people know me as Smith, but I'm gray now. So, but I was posting a lot of homeschool. There is this woman who she's been doing it for years, long before I had a Facebook to show me, or social media to show me how to homeschool. I was given this information by Families for Home Education here in Kansas City, Missouri. And they're in Lee Summit, I think, something like that. And I was giving her information, and it was way back in the early 2000s, long before Facebook came along. And I was successful in homeschooling my children, my little Black inner city children. I was successful in homeschooling them for the periods that I did. Homeschooling is very specific. If you don't do certain things, they can come after you and take your children out of your home. So like I said, today we're going to discuss after Jorge Fuller for the People. And I am so excited. And I'm going to keep having him tell you all his credentials, because some people will watch this show who didn't watch last week's show. And so he's not he is bragging. You got the right to brag. One of our politicians here in Kansas City said, Roy Chin, when I was telling him, well, people think I'm bragging when I talk about what I do and what my children have done. He said, it's not bragging, it's a resume. So go on ahead and get your resume and give us our 2 minutes, Jorge.
Well, I'm not going to drop the whole resume, but you're talking to someone with a master's in education, K through 12 leadership to be exact. And I'm actually coming in as someone that continues to do work within education. This is my final week in tenure at Year Kansas City, which is a nonprofit that has been working to mentor and tutor students in the Kansas City area at 6 KCPS schools and 1 charter school. And So I was privileged and honored to be the starting partner with an elementary school, and I was able to continue and create a partnership that is now going to last longer than I'm going to be there, which was my objective, and is continue to work while also earning my master's and building up a tutelage of folks that I am considering myself a level 4 leader for as they continue to work and build up another tutelage of folks. Then I'll become a level 5. For those that don't know, there's levels to leadership beyond just a title, beyond just a rank. Today, I'm bringing you information from Andrea Ball, which is the sixth district city council person. She has been doing some amazing work. I shout her out because she has been supportive. Anytime that I've brought an issue to her office, even if she doesn't respond to me directly, I know my voice is heard because the actions that are taken seems to fit what I've actually asked her to do. So that is when you know you're building a relationship with your civic leaders, even if you don't feel like it's a two-way communication. If they hear from you, they acknowledge it by committing actions to it. One of the things that they have coming up is going to be June 24th. That is 2 days from now. That is Thursday. There's the hiring fair for the hospitality industry. And I have to bring this up because we have so many tremendous hotels in our industry in Kansas City, one of them being Lowe's and one of them being the Marriott. They're all going to be hiring people to come in. For those that are looking for positions or looking for opportunities, understand that they are doing so on June 24th. They're giving hiring fairs. The next topic is going to be bringing up a historical fact. Myself, Brandon Ellington, and two other individuals. I'm not going to name names all the way, but I'm naming the public figures. Around this time last year, we were going through and making sure that we check in on nursing homes. We went to a nursing home last year, specifically after being commented, after seeing a Facebook post, and next thing we know, we were running down with Phyllis Hardwick. We were making sure that they were provided provisions. We were making sure that they had support from the health department. So I would tell you, if you have family members that are in nursing homes or in assisted living facilities, make sure they are staying up to status quo. We had individuals that was living with mold, with trash, with no AC, and it's over 90-degree weather. That was what's happening in Kansas City. And it actually came out with the KC Tennis Union because they came out as well and helped them create a union for themselves inside of that facility. So if you have people that are in nursing homes, know that they are tenants. They are not just a patient of the nursing home. They put money into it. They have certain status quos that they have to meet, and you make sure that you advocate for them. The last part is I am going to say two things, and it's associated with Juneteenth. Last week, I came in and gave you the history of it while announcing what it was that the federal government had did. I noticed after I've given the history of it, a lot of people kept saying, oh, this is performative politics. And I 100% agree with you. It is performative because they were doing a segment into which saying that we're honoring our ancestors or honoring Freedom Day without actually doing any other actions that we wanted. However, if you are saying, hey, we only wanted, we never asked for a holiday, we never asked for the federal holiday, that is somewhat false, somewhat true. And I'll say this for the city of Kansas City, I was one of the speakers advocating for the city to take off for Juneteenth because certain other businesses already advocated as of 2020. So here we are in 2021, now just jumping in, beating the curve in the city of Kansas City because they made it a holiday prior to the federal government actually voting and announcing it as a holiday. Now, with the holiday, it gives recognizing or recognition to our ancestors and the freedom of, but we want to make sure that we go beyond just recognition. We want those reparations. We want to make sure that financially you commit what you have and own up to the atrocities that you have done for generations. for 400 plus years. So that is what we're looking for. When they say performative politics, it is absolutely performative to just say we're going to recognize you, but we're not going to do anything else. Until those other actions are made and continued with, that is until we see it. That is just Dos Minutos with Jorge Fuller. You know I'm for the people, and I continue to say that way. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, Jorge Fuller for the people. And then I'm going to also announce that I'll probably be taking a 2-week hiatus for a second, just to get myself back together and coordinate some time with my wife. She misses me, and I want to make sure I do that. So I honor to thank you all for this opportunity. Continue to follow. If you have questions, concerns, always you can hit up the Lyne't Gray Show, but you can always reach out to me directly at fullerforthepeople@gmail.com.
I want to thank you so much, George, for that. And please replay everything you're saying. What you said that you found at the nursing homes kind of blew me away. Y'all saw me listening. Y'all know I do my normal thing where I'm replying to people and things like that and letting people know we are on air. We want to thank all of our viewers for viewing right now and in the future. But we're going to start with Juneteenth. Exactly what George said. And we have to look at Jorge. I'm gonna keep calling him Jorge so y'all won't write his name in wrong. But exactly what Jorge said. And we have to look at, yes, the holiday, we were observing it anyway. So I feel like if they had not made it a legal holiday, then people would have still been like, oh, well, Juneteenth need to be a holiday. It would be nice if we get the day off and get paid for Juneteenth. See, we have to remember the things we ask for and don't be ungrateful when you get them. Now, here's the thing about a lot of people are saying, well, they did that. And I've been making fun of it because they do that to us all the time. They'll be like, you know how some parents really don't want to share their food and the kid is there and they be like, here, take some and go away. And that's how we've been done. Here, take this holiday and go away. They know, and it's been accounted for, that just simply 40 acres and a mule. We're not talking about reparations. We're talking about 40 acres and a mule. From the time we were promised 40 acres and a mule up until 2018, it has accumulated the total value of 65.5 trillion with a T dollars. And you have to consider the cost of living, inflation, and what do they call it, interest that's added to that number every year after 2018. We're 3 years after 2018, we're into 2021. I was still looking up the numbers, got caught up, job transition, all of that. I was still looking up the numbers and didn't get to the final number, but we're just talking 40 acres and a mule. 40 acres and a mule that was owed to everyone who they made that promise. And you look up now and it's at $65.5 trillion. We're not even touching reparations. We're not touching reparations. 40 acres and a mule was not considered reparations. What I consider reparations is exactly what happened with the slave owners who lost their land. They got government money, insurance money, because they lost all of their slaves and they lost their land, and they got paid because their property was damaged and basically stolen. They got paid for that. The ones here in the US and the ones who are in Europe and other places who owned enslaved people. I don't mind, a lot of people are offended, but I don't mind using the word slave. And the reason why I don't mind using the word slave, and we're going to clear this up right now, is because a slave is a person who was forced against their will and tortured, kidnapped and terrorized hostages. That's what I like to call them. A lot of people like to call it POW, but I don't like that either, because there have been actual written and verbal accounts from highly intelligent people who were kidnapped and terrorized that there was no war. People just did it just to make money. Just like if it turned out to be legal to sell people now, how many people would be kidnapping people off the streets and selling them for profit? It wasn't a war that put them in that position. So I don't like to use POW because it wasn't always a war. But when we get to looking at just simple legislation, as easy as the Asian anti-hate, that's another thing I'm going to say. The Asian anti-hate law, Black people, start finding out where you're from. Please do. Start finding out where you're from. And the reason why I say start finding out where you're from is, let me know. George, give me a thumb up if y'all can still hear me, because I had to turn my radio down because it was catching Mr. Walker. But start finding out where you're from is because if you have significant Asian blood, which if you look at what Asia is what some people think is Europe. So if you have a significant amount of Asian blood, we have the Samoan blood, which is listed in the anti-Asian hate, Pacific Islander. So now you could turn the law on them. You could turn the law on top of them. Know your lineage. I know people say you're Black. I say I'm Black. But if I know I have a certain lineage that qualifies under that anti-Asian hate bill, I'm going to use it against you now. And I'm going to let everybody know. Everybody already knows we got Samoan blood. The great name is the U.S. version of our Samoan family who came over here. They changed their name. Well, their name was already gray over there, but they have a tribal name that I don't know. But my great-grandfather is listed as Samoan on his birth certificate. So that's part of the anti-Asian hate bill. His son, my grandfather, is Samoan. My mother is considered Samoan. And so we have to stop allowing people to make us feel bad about embracing portions of ourselves that could possibly keep us safe. When they passed that bill was, they never considered that Black people could use that bill. I want y'all to start being strategic with this. Another thing is, we need, as Black people, we have Juneteenth. Everybody partied. Everybody had fun. We all enjoyed. I laid down and went to sleep. I did what my ancestors did. They said they was free. They didn't have to work. I'm pretty sure some of them sat down and was like, forget it. I'm not going to do nothing till I can figure out life. And that's what I did. But we now have to get to work. Our ancestors got to work when they were freed. We had Black senators back then. Name a Black senator now besides President Barack Obama. Name me one. Don't say Senator Kamala Harris, because she just proved that she's Jamaican and Asian. She don't care nothing about Black folks. So we had Black senators. We had a little bit of Black everything, y'all. Everything. They set up hospitals. They had pharmacies. They didn't ask nobody for nothing. Black banks. We have Black construction companies. And, you know, we need to go back and look at what happened after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed with our people. I'm going to ask everybody who watches this show, and B. Michael Long did an amazing show, a 2-part show on Monday, and he went to the Quindaro area. And I'm asking everybody to go on YouTube or Facebook. If you can't find on Facebook, you can definitely find Shifting Paradigms on YouTube. And it's on the KUAW radio page on YouTube called Shifting Paradigms. He did an amazing 2-part show on Quindaro in Kansas City, a Black settlement that is still, they try to make it seem like, you know, it's Quindaro. Oh, that's where the Underground Railroad and they hit the slaves. It's more than that. Quindaro was an amazing place. And so if you even just start researching Quindaro, 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 in Kansas City, Kansas. If you start researching that, it'll tell you what we need to do. My son has a bonus mom. Lynn, love you. Thank you for this question. Lynn looked at me when we were talking about, because Lynn don't play that. She's a white lady and she don't play. My sons crack up because they like, Mama, Lynn is the white version of you. I said, yes, she is. And we're both, born around the same time. And she just don't play. She's like me. And she looked at me, she said, why can't, when I was telling her about what I went through in the hospital, she said, why don't you all just get your own? Because it looked like it tortured her to hear that St. Luke's Hospital dang near killed me. It looked like it just tortured her soul. And she's about to break down. And the only thing she could come up with was the same thing I came up with while I was laying there dying. If I was in a Black hospital, this wouldn't have happened. We had Martin Luther King Hospital on 25th and Garfield in Kansas City, Missouri. They let it close down. And it's now, ever since I lived at 2457 Garfield, I turned in a drawing, a sketch where they were turning it into elder apartments, probably in 1986, 87, or 88. I'm not sure. Why do we not have our own at this point in time? I'm going to ask this question. It's harder for our ancestors to get their own back then. We have all of the things that we need to be successful. Why do we not have our own hospitals? Why have we not voted in an enormous amount of Black senators? Why is our police department, with all of the exiting military, police, young Black people, why is our police departments not stacked in our favor? They're going to go through mess. Our Vietnam vets got out of Vietnam and came into the all-white police departments. And the police departments took them and they put them through everything. And many of those guys retired. And that was back when they could do dirt to them and get away with it. Why have we not stacked our police departments in our favor? I want to shout out Officer DeJuan Littlejohn. I witnessed Officer Littlejohn deal with a young Black man who probably the other officers would have triggered him. And the dude who normally probably would have been rah-rahing at the cops, he was like, but man, you know how they get. Officer Littlejohn was giving him I understand, but we have a job to do, and this is how it works. Because he understands, because he was once a young Black boy in the inner city, growing up in the inner city. He's experienced everything. He went to Kansas City Public Schools. So he understands. I give it to our mayor. I will give our mayor this. And I don't see eye to eye with the mayor on everything. But I give our mayor this. His first night in office, he spent the night in Hilltop townhomes. I call it Hilltop. It's that bad down here. And he spent his first night as mayor in Hilltop because he doesn't forget his mother's struggles. He doesn't forget that. And now he has a young Black boy. He's biracial, but he's still Black. We see how they did Mayor Sly James' son. They, as Eddie Griffin once said, or it was either Eddie Griffin or Paul Mooney, they let you know that you the N-word when it's over said and done with. We don't care who your daddy is. So he's looking to make change for his son. And it's not just because of his son, but it's because he doesn't want his son enduring the things that our Black men and he and all of our young Black boys now have had to endure all these years. I tell people, looking at your child change your life, changes your thinking and changes your life. But we have to have more Black mayors. I'm telling everybody, we have to have more Black mayors. We have to have more Black governors. Remember the Oprah Winfrey episode when she talked to then President George W. Bush about Katrina. He said that Mayor Ray Nagin, the Black man who was mayor over Louisiana, and their governor, I forgot their governor name. The three of them were on Air Force One flying over Katrina. He cannot intervene and force them to do anything. And he's sitting there like, so what we gonna do? So what we gonna do? And like he said, he took the brunt of what happened to Katrina, but he didn't have the power to overstep the mayor and the governor. She even asked him, you're the president. He said it doesn't work like that. And see, he blew the minds of how many millions of people that day when he taught us the president can't step in without the permission of the mayor and the governor. And it was proven with Operation Legend. Like I told you, I don't always agree with our mayor, but our mayor called our governor for help. And our governor called our president, then president, for help. And that's when the then president went on ahead and told his people, go on ahead and get that crime because they didn't kill the baby. Go in there and figure it out. Go get everybody who killed somebody and all the bad guys. And they came in Kansas City beating up and dragging folks out of houses, and they found out who killed that baby, though. That's the power that we need to have. That's what our ancestors did after Juneteenth. And I will always give our elders, many who are still living, Mr. Walker, Ms. Walker, M. Mary Moses, Mother Mary Moses, Reverend Esther Hosendorf, I'll always give them credit because people be like, oh, I'm not my ancestors, or oh, our elders. Nah, you wasn't as cold, because our elders went fist up with police. They were teenagers whooping on cops and shooting back at cops. We so scared we won't even go out and voice our opinion at the police board meetings. We won't even file complaints against crooked cops. We let people like Troy Roberson stand on his own and get beat and abused and dogged out by the cops. And people are like, but he be out there doing this, doing that. I don't care. He is not a violent person. He teaches the young people, if you're going to carry a weapon, carry it legally. Do everything in order. And they still insist on bullying him, and he still faces it alone. Our ancestors, once they got free, they wasn't even told they had no rights. They just knew they was free. They went for it. Fannie Lou Hamer, they did everything in their power to stop her from voting and stop her from being a delegate and stop everything walking. But this Black woman who took a 2-day beating in jail for trying to register to vote and almost died, she did it anyway. Now we got all the creature comforts at home. Now you can just turn in your voter, fill out your voter registration card and turn it in. Just hand it to somebody or take it down there and make sure they get it. And then all you got to do is go vote. All you got to do is make sure that everybody knows who you're preferring to vote for. We celebrating Juneteenth. We're celebrating getting the holiday of Juneteenth. But the true celebration comes with what you do with it next. Do y'all know the federal government, in their way of, this is my new word, I made this word up, copyright Lyne't Gray Show, reparationizing, in their way of giving us reparations, they've created an entire entity for businesses that's only for Black people. That entity for businesses that's only for Black people gets dibs on billions of dollars. And billions of dollars of contracts go back. How come we don't go get the money that they have to give to us by law? By law, they have to give us this money. I've told everybody about using the SCORE and the Small Business Administration, but everybody and their grandma want to open up a business and not do it the right way and then claim you can't get no money. There are steps. They made it hard for us to get to it, but if you go to the right people, you're skating in there. They made it hard to get it, but if you go to the SBA, you're skating in there. They put all kind of labels and this, you got to do this, got to know this. But when you have a mentor and you have a person who works with the federal government contracting, guiding you and telling you what to do, should you be successful? Yes. Yes. But we yell reparations. And we're not even willing to go get the money that's been put there for us for years. What you gonna do with reparations? Give it back to them. You gonna give it back to them.
You said something.
Or you gonna buy land and your kids and grandkids gonna sell it and give it back to them. Ain't that how it worked, George?
I say you said something, and I want people to remember it was the mentorship in the business end. Because a lot of people think, oh, okay, I'm gonna be successful, I'm gonna start a business, and you don't find a mentor doing the business and someone that's being successful in the business who can teach you, because that requires you to go out and seek education. Education is not just, oh, K through 12, I got my high school diploma, or, oh, I got a degree and I got a degree, I got a degree. No, education is the seeking of knowledge, right? So you have to. We look at our ancestors and our elders, they sought after knowledge. They were sources of knowledge and ingenuity and innovation. And then they were also seeking that same knowledge to capitalize on it. They weren't just trying to say, oh, okay, I'm going to open this small business and leave it at that. No, they were trying to open chains and be successful to be able to do and provide for not only the next generation, but 2 or 3 generations out, because we have to look 2 to 3 generations out to see what our actual end goal is. What is our vision has to be 3 generations out. It can't be what we're going to see right now. We're not going to reach it. And you have to be not reaching it. If you're saying I want to be a billionaire, you may not be a billionaire. But if you set up right and your grandchildren continue what you started and they have the source of knowledge and continue to own not just that land that they're going to sell, but instead of selling it, they lease it and have someone paying to use their land. And when they decide to say, hey, I'm done with this lease, you're up, see you later, I'm good, I'm going to continue. You have ways to economically strengthen yourself. When they said we don't have any more hospitals, and I looked at it, I was like, well, we don't have hospitals because we weren't funding the hospitals that we did have. When I say we weren't funding, is that we kept pushing people out that had that economic portion to actually benefit our hospitals. Hospitals are free. They don't run on just well wishes. It's not just the sick folks that actually pays the bills. It is those that make donations, those that buy wings, those that continue to push those doctors in studies and those practices and becoming award-winning places so that people would go to them. So when we say we don't have these hospitals, well, we let them go. And then we are not pushing out scientists the way we should be pushing in our education system. We're not pushing them out to become medical professionals. We're putting them out and they go and become CNAs, and nothing wrong with a CNA. They end up getting burnt out because they do the brunt work or the grunt work.
Right.
Actually going to pressure them and say, you need to go and become an RN. You need to go and become this. You need to go and become this, so that you have the finances, so that you are seeing the wealth of your knowledge and your experience. Nothing wrong with working your way up. Prove it.
And this is what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
This is what I'm going to say. You said that they might not become a billionaire. Do you know they handing out $1 billion contracts from our government to Black people all the time? When I got to researching more of Black billionaires and Black 800, we talk about Jay-Z, but Jay-Z is the first Black billionaire in rap. There are Black billionaires all over the US, and they were made billionaires by government contracts in their lifetime, and they're enjoying the money in their lifetime. But like you said, because we don't do education, what's the name of the man? Marcus Klein, Marcus Kline, family something. He's got a homeschool that they have for, they're setting it up in cities. He was on my show in 2018. We called out Kansas City and its vast of amazing people. He said, get me a good building. He didn't say a school building. He said a good building. And make sure there's desks and everything else is in there. And he will supply the curriculum. He will supply all of the instructors, and his preschoolers and kindergartners know the bones of the body and the stages of the muscles. They know the muscles. They know everything about the body. They can speak to you in medical terms before they graduate middle school. They are literally little bitty doctors. And he's proven it time and time again. And they can start as a CNA and they're going to blaze through everything academically in college because they learn this stuff and it's been reiterated every year all the way through high school graduation. It's no problem to them. Our people are not, like you said, with education, our people are not able to move forward because the education isn't there early. I get on everybody and I tell Black people, quit wasting your child's brain. You're supposed to force feed that brain everything it can take from birth to 5 years old. Once they hit 5 years old, their ability to adapt and learn new concepts almost comes to a halt. You want to get those brain synapses going. And I tell people, they actually have documented the proof that my son, when he was 2, could read college books. All of my children were advanced, but it was only because my dad used to always tell me, if you don't have an education, you don't have nothing. And I witnessed it with my own eyes. My daddy couldn't read the whole time he was married to my mom. The instant he learned how to read, he shot up to like $30,000, $40,000 a year. Then by the time he died in 1998, he was over $100,000 man, just because he learned how to read. Just because he learned how to read. So we have to start to take accountability, like you said, George. The education is serious. And that's the one thing we shun mentorship because you have to learn with it. We'll start a business. I can't tell you how many Black people I said, okay, this is what you do. You're starting a trucking business. This is what you do. No, I ain't trying to do all that. I'm like, if you do it right, you ain't got to do it. All you got to do is go on LinkedIn and find your people to do it for you. What's so hard about that? I ain't trying to, that's it. But then they want to mistreat the drivers, squeeze the drivers for money, when all they could do is just like everybody else who starts their own trucking company, gets their mentor, goes through SCORE, self-certifies. The federal government, you do not have to do anything. You self-certify when you sign up. You self-certify as a Black man, a woman, transgender. I don't know if they do transgender or minority yet, but I know a woman or a Black woman or Native American woman or a disadvantaged business. Disadvantaged means I think you make less than 250 million or something like that. It's some crazy number that considers you a small business. You're like, that ain't no small business. But you go on the federal government and like when you certify with your state and local, you got to jump through all these hoops in order to do it. Federal government is right there on the application. What are you? Click everything you are. Okay, now let's move forward. They don't even ask you to verify it. That's why so many non-minorities are getting caught up and going to jail because they put themselves as minority and they weren't. So, like I said, for Juneteenth, we're going to celebrate Juneteenth every year, but every year we should see our police force stacked. We should see our hospitals have more Black people in them. We should see our children being geared more towards STEAM, like what they do at the Black Family Technology Awareness Program in Easteen Village. Easteen Village or Easteen? The Easteen Village.
AC.
Yeah, more STEAM. That's the whole thing. Science, technology, engineering, art, and math. Because they all work together. And art includes music. So now that I got that rant off, let me hello, hey, our watchers. Hey, son, Desmond. Let me shout out my son, Desmond. Now, I don't have exactly what he did, but he's the first person to play this special piano thingy. This is how I've been explaining it to people, y'all. It's a mess. My poor son, he probably like my mama. But he played this new type keyboard and he played it on top of Liberty Memorial in front of everybody. And I'm driving down the street with my phone mounted on my truck, like, oh, okay, keep your eye on the road. Wow. And it was beautiful and it was amazing. And he was the first person in Kansas City to do it. And he's on the front of the Kansas City Star with his slick ponytail looking like Lily. And I'm just so proud of him. So, hey, son, D Professor. He's the one who wrote my intro, produced my intro to my when we were actually at the station. Hi, Miss Walker. Thank you for watching. Thank you, everyone else who's watching. Thank you. Be like Michael Long is watching. Be Michael. Will you please put the links to your Quindaro show that you just did? Put both part 1 and part 2 links in the comments here, please. I appreciate it. Now we're going to touch on this subject for like 5 minutes because it's been a topic of almost all of the women on my Facebook page. And I've been through it, but I've healed from it. But it's the story of damaged women because of horrible relationships with their mother and the PTSD that comes with it and the relationships that you wind up in afterwards because of it. I will say this, I'm not going to spend very much time on this because I want to get to, what did I say the last part of the show was? We did Juneteenth, the women. Look at me. Look, mom brain. Hold on. I'm about to find it. Hold on, y'all. But we're going to discuss that part because I'm just going to say this, and so many people get offended. And I'm not trying to, high school GPA. Yeah, we got to get to that. I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm not trying to upset anyone. But when I tell you that you have to understand, yes, your mom treated you a certain way. Yes, she probably was a horrible mom. Yes, but at some point in time, if you keep holding on to that hurt, remembering, it's been severed. So when you remember something, you join it back together. Your brain does not understand that a memory is not happening currently. And here's the issue that's going on and the reason why you go from a extremely toxic, traumatizing relationship with your mother into relationships like that on your job or in your friendships or in your relationships. The reason that you do that is because you keep remembering, you're bringing the situation with your mother back into your life. And we all know, as a man thinketh or as a woman thinks in her mind, so is she. So then you attract to every single person that has those qualities. And one thing about relationships, and I'm going to try to keep it quick because we got to get on these high school credits. Until we heal, we marry our mothers, men and women. If you had a great mom, then you don't have to worry about healing and you can marry your mama. Like the guy I'm with now, he's marrying his mom, literally. But I had to heal before I could even be in a relationship with an amazing person like that. Always wanted one. But the old me was way too toxic for this man. Way too toxic. And I had to understand that because I kept replaying the hurt, I was remembering it, sewing it back on. I was not allowing, and this is what I'm going to tell everyone, and I'm going to give this to you all real quick. Understand people for their levels of healing. Our mothers did not have social media. to hold us accountable and say, hey, you need to go get mental health. Mental health treatment is important. Self-care is important. This is how you handle a situation if you and your children's dad is falling out, or they didn't have this. They had, especially Black women, if you go see a mental health professional, Black people don't do that. You better pray about it. You better go talk to your pastor, or you better hold it in. Don't tell nobody if you don't want your business being told. That's what our mothers had. So when you can understand that, and then you understand how crazy would I be if I didn't have somebody to go talk to? I asked myself that because I had a rough time going through my divorce. And if I didn't have the opportunity to go talk to a mental health professional, if I didn't have the opportunity to go talk to a mental health professional, then I would have been a hot mess, y'all. And I had one who was a Black man who kept it real. And you know what he told me? He said, I want you to never, ever deal with anyone who's not nice to you. I had several sessions with him. And he told me, I don't want you to ever deal with anyone who's not nice to you. And that started me on the path to healing. Black women, everybody ain't against you. Everybody ain't out to get you. A lot of times no, not a lot of times. All the time, we let in the wrong people when we're not healed. When we are healed, we see they full of mess. We like, hey, I don't do that in my life, so you take that over there. And then you understand people. I always say this, and this is me doing my little spiritual thing. I understand people at their chakra levels. You show them which chakras are blocked. I ain't tripping on you. I'm unblocked. You're not gonna get a rise out of me. You're showing me which chakras are blocked. That's what we need to do. So that's just my message to my sisters out here. You know, sometimes you got to do like Pookie and force that healing, and it ain't fun, and it'll kill you, but you'll come back and you're better than ever. And you got to keep it away. Now, and Jorge can tune in on this one. Getting your high schoolers GPA up. I learned something in the meeting with my amazing daughter. Me and Dapper Dan, Aiden, we both said the same thing. We were sitting in the same meeting with his high school counselor and my daughter Jaquita, and she's got a master's degree in Ivy League master's degree in something leadership and and all of this long Ivy League stuff. Whatchamacallit and so and such and such. But he said the same thing I said. He said, Mama, when we was in it, I was like, who is that sitting at the table? Because she knew her stuff about getting high schoolers in college and getting their GPA up. And something that I didn't know that I want to share with everyone whose child may have suffered during COVID and their GPA may have failed, or they just want to bring it up higher. Have them take one college summer course and one college course per semester after school when the school starts back up. And make sure that they take something that they need, but make sure that they have all the tutoring and everything they need, because when they make a good grade on it, it boosts the GPA. I didn't know that. That was a tremendous help. That's something that I want to share with all the parents and any parent who might be watching. I advise everyone, even parents who are not homeschooling, but their children are virtual school. Lee Benz, the Home Scholar, Leebinz. BIN is in Nancy, Z is in zebra. The Home Scholar. She's one of the best people you could ever follow when it comes to making sure your child's transcripts and everything. She graduated kids, and all her kids went to college, paid for, and everything from homeschooling. She's the one who taught me that, your child can be homeschooled and you could still make sure they take all of their standardized testing as long as you get a certified proctor to do it. And you can call the library and see if they have one that qualifies, someone with a degree that might qualify. So, George, do you have anything to add about, because I didn't know that until I watched KUAW do Aiden's classes for this year.
I would say check into your parents' rights. For those that have students that may have a 504 or IEP, you have rights, and they have to communicate with you on a conditional basis. So they have to communicate with you regularly, at least per quarter or per semester. But you can always ask, and you don't have to ask. You can demand that they have a meeting, and they have to schedule it. They have 30 days to communicate back to you after you put in your request. So your parents' rights are the most important rights that you have when dealing with schools. A lot of schools play to the left and play crazy for the simple fact that a lot of parents don't know that they could be calling them out on a lot of things, especially if your student has a 504 or an IEP and the accommodations weren't being provided for them during COVID, but now your student is suffering with a low GPA and low outcome. You have parental rights if you have that 504 IEP. You also have parental rights if you say, hey, his teacher never communicated with me. I don't understand how you think retaining this student is going to be beneficial. But it's also up to you to ensure that the knowledge that they are needing is actually there. So they have to be able to prove that they know the material and show it on an assessment, because a lot of high schools have that EOC, the end of course exam, which is the equivalent to the state standardized assessment as well. But that EOC says that I don't, if you can complete it, even if you don't even take the class, but you completed the EOC, you will still get the credit for it. And if you have the credit for it, your GPA is going to showcase it. So I love that you said do some college courses. Those college courses, I know when I was in school, I did Partners in Excellence, which is an MCC program. MCC is our community college, and they have a ton of courses available at the high school rate. When I say high school rate, we're not talking $300 to $400 per credit. We're talking like $50, $25 to $50 per credit. And I'm just giving you a general range. But you can also look at the University of Missouri, Kansas City, Avila University. They have these programs, and I was privileged to take advantage of it early. These allowed me to have two GPAs. I had a GPA for high school and I had a GPA for college. When I applied, they had to see both of those GPA, and both of those GPAs actually weighed into their decision. Funny part is, they tell you start with a 4.0 in college. That's absolutely false. You start with a zero, and your first quarter and your first semester determines your GPA from that point forward. Now, if you decide to make it 4.0, keep it up. Great work. You don't have to do the traditional 16 credit hours per semester in the same fashion, or the 16 weeks. I'm sorry. You can do an 8-week course. You can do 2 8-week courses. You can do 3 8-week courses. You can block it off to whatever so as you prepare your high school students to go into college, have them understand what they can do to advocate what's best for them and balance their time so that they can be successful in these courses, so that they have the authority to move through it while they're in K through 12. As the parent, you are the one advocating for that student. You're the one pushing that student, and all educational institutions have to listen to you. If not, you can pull their LEA. That is that is usually KCPS for a lot of the charters. They have to go through them. So you can pull that and call them to the table, and don't be afraid to call it to the table. I promise you, the only thing that you're doing is advocating for your right as a parent to ensure that your student is not being undereducated, because data has spoken that no matter where they live in the metropolitan area, Black students are undereducated compared to their white counterparts. If you don't know, look up Black, BLAQUE. They do programming and do these lessons. Parent Powerhouse with Spark Bookhart, he does these lessons. And then lastly, the LEC, Lyne't Education Collaborative, they do these lessons and they talk about this data. And you as a parent need to be a part of that. And I should say it was a Parent Power Lab with Spark.
Parent Power Lab with Spark Bohart, because I'm a part of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and they
Yeah.
do these types of discussions and help you advocate, especially when schools ignore your voice. Then you have the other next step is that board. Go to that board and say they are ignoring you. because you have legal right and litigation ability if your student is not being successful. Because totally, if you are making sure they are completing assignments, they understand the material, and their grades are reflecting it, and there's no communication, you have right to deliberate and discuss and debate whatever you need to for your students to be successful. Don't be afraid of your rights on that. And I stand on this a lot longer.
Well, thank you, George, for that. And I want to remind everyone, like he told you, don't be afraid of your rights. And the reason why you don't be afraid of your rights is because everyone who's been an advocate for the students in the schools know that the parents, the community, and the students are the owners of the district. So what owner of a company lets people ignore them at their own company? No, it don't work like that. You don't have to beg or ask for anything. You are the owner of that company. They have to respond to you. And like he said, take it to the school board and let the school board know. I know I'm an owner of the company. Why are you not responding to me? Another thing is you need to make sure you sunshine any records that you might need that they have not disclosed to you. Thank you for letting parents know about the IEP thing, because I actually have a very close friend who they almost ruined her son's GPA not doing what they were supposed to do with the IEP. Even though he got in college, we thank God, but they literally almost ruined his GPA. So it's closing time here on the Lyne't Gray Show. I want to thank George. George, we thank you for spending the time that you have spent with Fuller for the People. And I just want to thank you. And like I tell everyone, he's an amazing person. He's not just a Fuller for the People voice. He is an educated young Black man. He's an amazing activist in the community. He is a trailblazer, a true trailblazer. And you're going to see more of